Welcome to the Health and Safety Unplugged podcast, brought to you by Advanced Safety. You will find us on YouTube, all the social media platforms, and also on iTunes and Spotify. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Rosie Killip. Rosie is the founder of the Building Networks, coach, mentor, trainer, entrepreneurial extraordinaire, who I've had the privilege to meet and know for a number of years now. So Rosie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here and to share our mutual passion for all things safety and compliance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's certainly where our synergies began, and I think as time's gone on, I think we've realised that we've both, in terms of energy and motivation, I think that's certainly a lot of synergies there, right?
Absolutely. And a never-ending beast. I said to somebody the other day, in the fullness of time, when I pass this life and people are, reflecting, they'll wait in the moment and they'll hear this. I've still got some more things to say.
That's it. It's exactly right. It's the life's mission, right? And I think that's what keeps me on my toes as well, is the idea that one day, when I may think about retiring, I want to ensure that I haven't missed any golden opportunities or neglected to look under or turn over that stone to see what's there.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. I've got quite a few older colleagues who have retired, in the last since COVID, given it away, just said that's it, I'm done now. And it's been interesting, some of their reflections, some of them are a little bit jaded about the state of affairs, and maybe 30 years ago when I met them, they're like, we're going to change the world, and they haven't seen the world change, they've seen things slide back. And so that can give one a sense of overwhelm and defeat.
Yes.
And yet there's events happen, like health and safety events happen that kick us in the backside and say, come on, get some more energy for it.
Yeah.
And also, if not me, then who? Who's going to speak it out, call it out, say it? And I feel like a lot of my career has been like that little boy saying to the emperor, you've got no clothes on. And people are like, oh, don't be ridiculous, Rosie, settle down, And you could look at this in multiple ways and make stories about it, right? When I was younger, I'm a young woman, I'm not technical, what would I know? But now I'm older and grumpier and more experienced. I'm like, whatever, I do know what I'm talking about because it's my view and my experience and my interpretation of a set of factors. And that is unique, what I bring.
Yes.
And you're unique, what you bring. And together, if that enriches the experience and makes some awareness and change, even if it's one person,
Yes,
brilliant.
Absolutely.
And other people who want to gather together, who want to throw a stone at that stuff we do or diminish what we do, that's not life-giving. That's not growth mindset. That's not what I stand for. Not interested. No radar. Dial it down. These are the things that amplify. And it comes from a good place. I spent a lot of time in my early career. I didn't know I was going to be this person.
Yeah.
I had this job and that job and that job, trying to find my spot because I was not linear straight into, I'm going to be a building compliance business owner who does training.
Yes.
It wasn't a thing. It's not a thing now. If you go, what's your career? Workplace trainer? Well, kind of. Small business owner? Yeah, kind of. It's a range of things. And so when I look back, every single one of those experiences led to this place.
Yeah.
I learnt quality assurance and safety in a car factory. I can remember being made as my induction to watch a video, quite horrendous videos, though out of the States, of health and safety instances in using equipment in a car factory where people had had their hair torn off, gun nails through their throat, gas blow-ups, the whole lot. And all of that scared the bejesus out of me. And it made me really aware walking around the factory to be mindful of what I was what I was doing or what I was around, and it was very new back then. It was, the early 80s. I knew that factory well because I'd been there with my father lots of times, who also worked there. Not that you'd take children there these days. But Dad was all very safety conscious because, I was his little pride and joy. So it was kind of there, and I didn't even know that. And they taught me lots. They taught me about quality assurance, production, people, management, the lot. And boy, each one of my forays of my own work life, I've used every one of those skills, and even more so now.
Oh, amazing. And then, so for those who aren't familiar with building networks as well, perhaps could you introduce the business and
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely. Yes, look, we teach building fire and safety compliance. So our whole reason to exist is to help people understand and know the rules and then apply them. And so the Building Act is our main beastie, with the building code documents underneath that. And then the related things why we've connected is health and safety, fire safety, and any of the other operational things that affect the ongoing compliance of a building.
Yeah, and so over the years, there'll no doubt be legislation changes, interpretation of legislation, no doubt would have changed, and also the enforcement of that legislation. So in terms of the changes you've seen and perhaps some of the trends in more recent times, could you comment on that?
Yes, look, good old Aotearoa, we knee-jerk reaction when it comes to legislation, not always thinking it through. Is it enforceable? Can you administer this rule? Is it easy to implement, easy to do? And therefore, how will you educate, train and monitor your people doing that thing? And when I started with rules, they were prescriptive. You did this, did that, cross over the line, you got yourself into trouble. And I've noticed legislation in the general sense be more performance-based, which is not always helpful in my review now. I mean, the intent is great, but people in our industry and building-related stuff don't often want to do that thinking work. They just want to be told. So there's an over-optimism by the policy folk, I think, and the legislators, that people will be empowered. It's empowering-based legislation and whatnot. A lot of people go, do I have to wear this mask or don't I? Don't give me the analysis. Don't give me, 40 ways of doing it. Just tell me, this is what you're doing, that's it. So quite blunt, really instructional, directional stuff. And our legislation often gives lots of choices. Like in our legislation, we have a lot of satisfied, appropriate, adequate, as nearly as reasonably practicable, which they hate. Our trainees hate those words. Like, just give it to me in the guts, Rosie. What do we have to do? So my reflection is we had a single building act with a single bit of regulation in 1991. We've got now in 2004 onwards a plethora, probably 24 different bits of orders and council gazette notices, regulations and amendments to the act, which haven't improved it. It's made it more confusing. It's made it more difficult to train and to implement. So when people are engaged, it's hard to engage with it. So what happens? I actually thought I'd write, Matt, the Alternate Building Act, the stuff I actually see that people are doing in spite of what the rules say. And they do it. Why do people do this? Like, why do I drive just a little bit faster than I should? Right? Because I'm in a hurry, I'm late for something, I've got to catch a plane, whatever. Why do I do that? So why do people cut a corner? It won't happen to me. I've never experienced a fire, an earthquake, a terrorist threat, so I don't understand the risk. I've got good moral principles. I can look after myself. I'm a grown-up. I don't need anyone telling me what to do. Or, easiest way, because someone else in the workplace told me that's okay, then to fit in, I'll do with what you do. So if it's okay for me to jump in that trench without any shoring up, that's what I'll do. If it's okay to go, yeah, nah, that's cool, that's okay, that's what I'll do. And the last thing is strong enforcement. being a parent, we've both probably been there. I want to be that cool parent. I want to be the empowering, enlightening, growth set mind parent. But at times I have to say, no, it's time to go to bed. No, it's time to brush your teeth. No, you can't have this. And so the quality of enforcement and being able to have the courage to say no, because rules at the end of the day are a line, And so for us, my reflection about law is it's got to be enforceable, administrated and doable, and then we can put training and learning development wrapping around that. Then we can monitor that, because what we're after is not that people tick a box, that there's actual real change.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? Is that you can have all these bits of paper with lots of clever terms and analogies in there, but without the application of it, it's meaningless, right?
Absolutely. I go through what's called Building Consent Authority accreditation with some of our council clients, so they have quality assurance imposed upon them. That's difficult in itself. Like right there, that's a cultural thing that's quite difficult when something's imposed on you. But those who embrace that and go, this is our opportunity to get consistency across our business, to look at business processes that make it good for the customer and the team. It makes it easier to train on, to monitor and enforce. However, at the end of the day, if someone's being aberrant, if they're going against what the procedures are, then someone has to have that powerful, vital conversation. And I think, in a New Zealand context, we're often naive. Oh, that would never happen on our site, our building, to our people in our country. And as the world's come to us, as we've started to experience things that we've never had to face before, with threats we've never had to face before, it's in our face going, oh my goodness, it does happen here. It is real. And therefore, it's fighting that culture of she'll be right, because who is she? Because if you look out there, she's not right, actually, at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and immediately what springs to mind is the very recent fire evacuation at the hotel where the New Zealand Ferns were staying during the Women's World Cup. Right, it is in our face. And so, in terms of some of the implications, negative or otherwise, of what you described, which is we've got a piece of legislation that is descriptive rather than prescriptive, where the regulatory bodies are a little bit unclear as to who's responsible for what and who actually has overall authority, and the implementation of that. What are some of the things that you've seen over the years, or what you're seeing at the moment, that you'd like to share?
I think we've got to go back to looking at integration. Everything's siloed. WorkSafe does this, FENS does this, councils and building control does this. It's like, hold on, it's an organic living thing. Being in a building, even in your own home, it's an organic living thing. It adapts, it evolves, things happen, and the way you use a building changes over time. So if we look at an integrated whole, to me, whenever I draw this on a whiteboard, I draw a big pie. The big pie is actually being safe and healthy, in our built environment. And inside that, there are slithers of things which sometimes cross over, but in the fullness of time, there is a bigger picture. So, for example, someone comes in and does a health and safety check on a building, and they say, give it a tick in their audit. And I'm going, how could that be true if you've never checked the status of the equipment? Has the equipment been serviced, tested and maintained? Is our area, the building we're in, a fitness? So glaring great holes, the wafts on the wall, but it says weird things and you haven't checked the integrity of that process. So to me, there's a lot of wafts on the wall that we see even in our business where you go, there is a massive, great safety issue that is trailed down here at about 40 bits of paper deep. That's gone through maybe 40 hands. So the integration of the regulatory scenario and then the operational requirements the day-to-day use and the future proofing of the long-term maintenance plans are critical integrating things. Secondly, how many people are involved these days? Oh my goodness. Our legislation talks about a triangular relationship. Council, owner rep, and IQPs. It's now a hexagon or an octagon of people going round and round and round. So I hear about 4 subcontractors deep in the IQP relationship, a BWOF agent who's not the property manager who's not the purchase manager. And so by the time you go, there is a health and safety defect in your building, who the hell do you tell, right? Back in 2001, I saw tech, back in that kind of tech day, that could rapidly communicate with all parties. So I'm on site, I see a problem, let's say an access control door not working properly, it could block people in and make them trapped in the event of an emergency. That's a safety issue in my book. So who gets to know at the press of one button on some iPad? There were about 40 people who got to know. The insurer, the fire people, the occupiers within the building, the tenants within, landlord, so and so and so. I went, brilliant. Our problems are over. Brilliant. Let's use technology, because the information, the escalation to the person who's got the power to go, for God's sake, just fix it. Or go, you know what? I've already got a pre-allocated set of money that if there's anything under this value, just go do it, right? Where are we, Matt? It's 20-something years on, and we're still not using the technology to our advantage. So integration and the escalation of information using good tech. So at a dashboard glance, I know where the issues are, where they're not, and we not only react, but we've got some long-term planning strategies separated from the day-to-day.
Attention project management and construction business owners and health and safety professionals. Are you seeking expert guidance to streamline your health and safety processes? Look no further than Advanced Safety, New Zealand's leading health and safety consultancy. Our team specialises in comprehensive capability assessments, tailored systems, exceptional training and ongoing support. We're here to simplify your journey, ensuring you achieve demonstrable legal compliance efficiently. And here's the best part. With Advanced Safety, you're guaranteed results. We commit to achieving compliance within 180 days or less, providing you with peace of mind and saving you valuable time and resources. Say farewell to intricate procedures and welcome simplicity. Our experts excel at simplifying health and safety, empowering you to focus on your core business operations. To explore our franchise opportunities for health and safety professionals and our comprehensive suite of solutions for construction and project management companies, visit advancedsafety.co.nz today. Advanced Safety, simplifying health and safety for New Zealand businesses.
Yeah, I love that. It's a bit of a common theme over some recent interviews I've been conducting around people focus, change management, and the use of tech. And at the underscoring of all of that is the fact that we still haven't done a very good job, if at all, of sitting down and deciding who is best suited to act on this piece of information as it becomes available. So we've got all this new tech, we're now talking AI, and it's all getting very whiz-bang and exciting, awesome. But if we haven't sat down and decided who in this communication chain is the person that is actually responsible for taking action to resolve this, then we are no better than we were 20, 30, 50 years ago.
Well, you know, like back in the day, when I first started doing these sorts of checks, physically myself, I worked in healthcare, in a rest home environment where people used to smoke inside. We had the old fire doors with Georgian glass wood, no seals, no brushes, that they were what they were. And the constant battle with people wedged them open. And you'd have to go around and go, listen, I know you've got to push your trolley of whatever through there, but for goodness sake, kick the wedge off once you go through, right? And over time, the doors are going to separate and someone's going to have to spring them back so they meet in the middle to give us some protection. And make sure someone goes around those days and makes sure all the ashtrays with all the ciggies have all been doused out and there's nothing going on down the back of a couch or behind the curtain that could smoulder and take two in the night. That sounds easy. It wasn't. Fighting, arguing, I was the a-hole because I used to do the checks in the middle of the night to make sure the night staff were doing it. The doors would be all wedged open. I could smell, because I'm not a smoker, smoke coming through. I'm like, where's the cigarette? Anyway, so the non-smoking rule actually helps a lot of it, but it still doesn't stop the behavioural thing. Nowadays, people are smart asses. They go and put hold open devices on unauthorised, access control doors and corridors without permission. And when you challenge them on it, they go, what are you on? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I on? And everyone has said for 30 years of my career, oh, Rosie, let's just wait for the big one. They mean a big disaster.
Yes.
And they go right back to Ballantyne's fire and then Grenfell and all this, and they bring it up on the table, and I'm going, it's not making a difference because it's so catastrophic. We can't process it in our little brains going, I am doing stuff today in my building that leads to that same problem. And it's the same world over. You go cluttered escape paths, blocked, locked or barred exit doors, or reversing hold opens or wedged open things where they should be shut, giving the first line of defence a 0. So because it's normalised behaviour, we've got a break, and you know what I'm like, I'm a little bit naughty, a little bit disruptive, so the break is come on, get a break in the pattern, because if we softly go through it, that person in the change of command, I'm looking forward to an AI that is that virtual regulator that goes, you don't pass go. Like, you're at a security station at an airport, you're not passing go, and you try to, what? No. And almost like an embarrassment, shame, beep, 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 beep. And they go, oh, who was that? That was me trying to get through there when I shouldn't have, because our soft persuasion, education and whatnot doesn't seem to be making the key difference, which is the big get a grip.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. You've got me reflecting on the current Fakari White Island trials, right? So it's very much happening as we speak. I think a lot of health and safety practitioners, I've probably put myself in the same canon, have hung our hats on the hope that this could be the defining moment which pushes business owners to take health and safety as seriously as it ought to be. But then I'm thinking back to several years ago, we had Pike River, and that was the watershed moment. And then we go back, as you mentioned.
It keeps going, Matt. I mean, I can name in 30 years the events in the building side. The private ones that, albeit weren't a loss of life, but were a loss of property and were a near miss, right? Yes. And again, Fakari is so traumatic and so devastating. Even my brain can't process going to, what does this mean for tourism operators? My own daughter had a little trip offshore, and as part of her tour, they said, would you like to go and visit a volcano? And I'm like, no. And it's because that awareness, but over time that corporate knowledge gets lost. Like, what's the big deal? If it's offered on a cruise ship, why wouldn't you go? And I'm like, And so that embedded stuff, like those simple things, when we hire venues, we as a company, and as a matter of integrity, and when we stay in places, when we travel for training, for the trainers, we go, right, can I see your WAF? And can you show me your fire evacuation plan? And then when we get there, we walk it, and they think we're weirdos. I've been in other people's conferences and got myself into a lot of trouble. Because if you and I were having a conference together, I'm sure you and I'd be all over it, right? But if I went to one of yours, you went one to mine, and went, Rosie, these doors are blocked and locked. Don't be a hypocrite.
Yes.
I would have to face up and say, everyone, we're stopping the conference right now. These doors have got to be unlocked, otherwise we're out of here. And I've done that. But boy, that gets you into trouble. So you've got to be, in this country, prepared to put your neck, out there, to say, enough, this isn't right. And then, to be fair, it's overwhelming. You and I know this, being in business, at times it's overwhelming how much compliance you've got to do.
Yeah, of course.
But is it the right stuff? And if it's an enabler. So, what's the secret thing that enables you to go, I can do this, I realise it's important, and no matter what else I have to do today, it's my one priority, alongside, to be fair, if we're talking about ends meeting, is surviving recessions and making money. Because to put it back in the system. And a good example, I have done some wonderful work with FMANZ, and I love that organisation. People who are facility managers have so much on their plate to juggle. And we've just done a roadshow series with them. And talking to people who are at that front line, I get my classic story to them is, so where do you put what I'm saying in line with the fact that there are blocked toilets and there's sewage running down the corridor today, right? Where does it fit in your scheme of priorities? And often it's, I'll push that to a work order, I'll push that right, and someone else, but does the someone else or the someone else or the someone else actually understand, and have they done an audit themselves? So what I say first off is, right, okay, now you're aware of the things I'm saying that I think you should put on the table as a priority. Might not be yours, but this is what I say. When's the last time you've audited that process? Like, you've walked a fire escape like you and I can, because it becomes like wallpaper, Matt. Oh, that door's always been locked. People always leave their rubbish there. Well, take a big photo of what it should look like. And this is our picture. There's too many signs now. People often slap up signs and go, oh, the way to stop the health and safety risk is slap up another sign. I'm like, it's not changing the culture, because now we've got slime pollution and it doesn't make sense to me even.
That's absolutely right. That's so true. I mean, what you're doing, I guess it's almost a call to action, right? It's simply saying that we can't continue to be the sunshine health and safety or the building compliance reporter. Instead, we have to be brave enough to say, actually, this isn't good enough and you need to do something about it.
Oh, look, I think you and I need to do like one of those UK hotel inspector shows. Or go around like that. I mean, our neighbours, and I think I've sent this to you on LinkedIn, and anyone who wants to follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see me comment about the international scene. But there's New South Wales Commissioner on building, and he's about live construction, not post-occupation. And the crap he's finding and calling out, I mean, it's bloody controversial, and I'm sure the poor man's probably got security detail in his house. But it's shocking, but it's the truth as he sees it. And other people in the building industry go, oh, don't be ridiculous. We're good people. We don't build like that. They are, because he's showing photos. He's not just words, photos of what the spot checks on a building site, and we're talking multi-apartment dwellings. It's scary, but at least this is the ugly truth, and I think that's probably the name of your next podcast, The Ugly Truth.
Yeah, that's right, and it really is at the pointy end. I mean, I mentioned leading up to us catching up today the want to discuss briefly on Loafers Lodge, that the incident occurred in May 23 this year. 5 lives were lost. It turned out it was an arson event, but also what transpired were there were reports or notes by the local fire department who were unhappy with the health and safety, the building compliance, long before this event took place. And I get the sense that this is simply a symptom of what you're alluding to, right?
Well, I remember the New Empire Hotel fire in the late 90s in Hamilton. Similar sort of circumstances. We will see once, the coroner's report comes out. I mean, the Tamaheri Cool Store, where there were lives lost. There's multiple incidences in this country where there's been events, either with real loss of life or near miss or, property damage. And again, it's the lack of integration. This agency has to do its work and it tells this agency's got the power. They don't think they've got enough teeth in that legislation. They then need to put a case, who investigate, who goes back to this party. They then come back. They then go to the CEO. Then lawyers get involved. Then you go to the district court. Then you finally get a building condemned or eviction. But right now, where would you evict people to? You know, there's the local political tension. You know, if you go, there are safety risks, but where are you going to transport these people to when there's no other accommodations? And we all know this goes on, but there isn't a quick fix or solution, apart from when I come to Christchurch and I fly over and I see all of those camper vans sitting in a paddock waiting for some tourist. I'm like, here you go, why don't we just... But there's a lot of social political stuff, but also the inertia of way we wring our hands about it, the realities of what we've got to provide alternate, and then the whole question comes into questioning about healthy homes. You know, I saw a post on LinkedIn this morning about it, and I love it. Where's the data? Where's our benchmark? How bad is New Zealand? Put it and have some adult, big, grown-up conversations about the state of our building stock from, 1901 to now, and saying if we implemented change today, like radical change, Scandinavian level health and safety, Scandinavian level healthy homes, we've got this much of a problem to deal with versus the fact that every new one would be built incrementally better.
Yes.
The last thing I'd say to you is we're doing a piece of work at the moment which I find exciting, and I know you're involved as well, about safety and design from the get-go. Our common complaint from our clients, who are often contractors doing maintenance and servicing, is no one's thought about them. So whilst they know they've got health and safety obligations for their staff, but they won't go up on the roof and look at the chiller or inspect a roof for building construction anymore like they used to, because they can't just whip up the ladder. But they're like, well, put some gantries, put some anchor points, put various other edge protection in place that make it easier for us, but do it at the design phase, which then leads me back to, is anyone in the design meeting with an architect, engineer or other who actually is going to occupy the building later? Have you thought about us as people first, users first, who are going to be living in it? You'll be long gone. Your architectural award will be up the razoo, up the other side. What about us? We're going to be here forever and probably multiple generations. Let's get on with making it safer for us by designing it right first time.
I love it. And you're bang on. It's exactly the very same conversations that we're having with Team Advanced Safety right now. Is, oh my gosh, this step has been completely overlooked, and we're now looking into helping to facilitate those types of conversations.
I think that's fantastic, absolutely fantastic, Matt, and probably a way forward to end on. You know, that there's what can you do? It's overwhelming for what is out there already, but there's the mop-up that needs to be made. But let's focus positively on looking at renovations, on new builds, on upgrades to buildings, and various trigger points. Simple things like maintenance hatches for fire dampers, access to roofs where there are a lot of equipment, understanding even the equipment and the big heavy duty stuff within the building that can cause problem, how old the electrics and the wiring are up to fire alarms and smoke alarms and so on. These simple things, just a few, it doesn't have to be a massive big audit and made a meal out of, just some simple baseline information and data. So whoever desires to renovate or occupy that building later has transparency on what they're buying into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's probably quite a neat kind of wrap here is that we've got a pretty exciting event coming up very soon.
Yes.
Our team are very excited about this because it kind of just pulls together everything we've just discussed. So perhaps by all means, take this one.
Look, absolutely. On my heart before COVID was to put a building safety conference on. There's a lot of building conferences and construction trade group conferences, but this is pan-industry integration, bringing health and safety, fire safety, building compliance people together in the room. across the industry, and I love this stuff. That's why it's called Building Networks. We've got to network together to understand each other's points of view, merge in the middle, try and find some way to connect and work together better. So our Building Safety Conference is 16-17 August in Auckland. We'd love to have anyone along. You can find out more about us on buildingnetworks.co.nz. And going forward, this is our plan, is to release a few things at that event, exciting new initiatives we've got to bring, let's say, the education back down to the people at the very grassroots.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much, Rosie. And just in a nutshell, you've just kind of summed yourself up so well as well. It's like, this is the mission, right? It's to pass on that good message to as many people who will listen, but perhaps more importantly, who are prepared to take the action that's so desperately needed as well. So
absolutely. Thank you, Matt. And look, I'm at that generation now where we've parented, and some of my friends are grandparents, and I'm looking down the track in the future generations. How will Rosemary Killip be remembered by my own whānau down the line, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of feel emotional about that because it's legacy stuff. And as I look forward and down to that, I think, with whatever one's view is, with climate action, with, diversity, it's taken a generation, probably 2 down from me, to activate. And once they do, it goes off, right? Viral. So to me, I want to plant some seeds down at that level and watch it go off. And so hopefully for our generation, we can kind of look down and back and go, well, we might not have been the trailblazer one to make the real change, but we helped plant seeds, give hands and ladders up, safe ladders, by the way, for the next generation down to come forward and step up and speak their truth about it once they understand what we have known. So the blending of old heads, new heads, hearts and minds.
Oh, so good. Rosie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome, Matt. Always a pleasure.
So always good to see you. And let's keep in touch. Follow Rosie on LinkedIn and all other socials. And if you can make it to the conference, my goodness, get yourselves there. So Rosie,
awesome.
Thank you once again. And
thanks, Matt. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.